Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the 33rd DCW Conversation Hour, which is Community Narratives and Systemic Bias. So, this conversation hour features an assistant professor of digital humanities in IIT Dhanbad, Professor Shanmugapriya T, with a background spanning postdoctoral research at the University of Toronto and Lancaster University. She brings rich international experience to her work. Her research intersects digital humanities, environmental humanities, and digital literature, with a strong interest in how technology mediates cultural expression and knowledge creation. She also serves as an interim executive committee member of DHARTI, and that is Digital Humanities Alliance for Research and Teaching Innovations, and is a research fellow of the Electronic Literature Organization. We're really glad to have you here. So in this conversation hour, we are going to uh, question whose voices are represented and how systemic bias shapes the narratives, and how communities can reclaim storytelling spaces become ever more urgent. Now, this has become ever more urgent how the communities are going to reshape. So, in this session, we'll explore the role of community driven knowledge in resisting bias, the persistence of exclusionary structures across the digital platforms, and the possibilities digital humanities offer for inclusive and equitable participation. Uh, Over to you, Professor. We're eager to hear you out.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Please feel free to let me know if I'm not audible. First
Yes,
of
you're
all,
on.
thank you so much to Afi and Ariba. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly.
No,
I'm so
it's
sorry.
right.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation and giving me the opportunity to learn and process the topic related to community and narrative. So first, I'm going to share a couple of projects based on my experience in which I worked as a postdoctoral research associate and postdoctoral scholar at Lancaster University and University of Toronto. Because in these both projects, maybe I did not dwell into in the name of like community and narrative, but ultimately those projects are connected to the voices of community and the missing narrative of those voices. So the first project is about documenting and studying disappeared and sunken water bodies in the South India, particularly in Coimbatore. So part of this project, I was curating a lot of British Indian colonial documents and contemporary water management related documents, because the project aims to cover both colonial and present scenario. So for the present scenario, we did not have proper voices of the community whose problem we can directly bring into the digital narrative. So for that, I did couple of online works as well. For example, digitizing maps and then identifying the disappeared and shrinking water bodies. But at the same time, I also visited those villages and cities because water bodies in Coimbatore. It's Coimbatore. Now currently, if you look at the Coimbatore, it's just the one district. But if you look at Coimbatore during the British time, it was actually five districts. So I visited all those cities and semi-urban areas, villages. I collected people who are experiencing directly the problems of water-related issues. So I recorded those stories, and then I tried to create some digital narrative based on those water testimonies. So this was my first kind of experience when it comes to community and narrative. I learned a lot during the process. I even learned when I was creating those creative works during COVID-19 period. Everyone during which everyone we were like we got stuck in the room. So it's just a kind of a, I would say it's kind of a family project, because my son was helping me to create the digital narrative, and I was looking for other help like in terms of software, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those technological related stuff from another friend of mine. and we were just simply doing it for a few months, and those but I have to take some decision based on how I'm going to incorporate the oral testimonies with which I don't want to change anything, but at the same time I want to bring some sort of digital storytelling method. So that was my first kind of experience, but the aim of creating that is to take to the back to the community, back to the schools, small schools and colleges of those places. So I want to do some workshop to create awareness about the problems people are going through right now. But unfortunately I could not do much after creating the work, because I was keep updating to different places. Then I could not go back to my villages and all. But still, I hope I will do that one day for sure. I aim to do. Another interesting project, and it's her project at the University of Toronto. It is about fish, creating a creative cartography of fisher community scientific knowledge. Uh, Directly, we actually, this is kind of a not just scholarly driven project. This is community driven project. I'm really I was really grateful that Dr. Bhavani included me in this part of the project. So this project actually documented the language of fisher community, the scientific language of fisher community, and also created a creative cartography. It's kind of a counter mapping to the scientific mapping, because whenever we have storms, we look at satellite imagery and we get data from scientific data from online or news, so many places. Uh, but fisher community, they have been doing this for a number of think they passed all their lives. They learn from their generation, their older generation. They're passing their knowledge to the younger generation. So how they have been doing it and what kind of language they use. At the same time, what kind of changes happening due to climate change, other environmental changes, what's happening in the field. So this was the aim of the project, and for this we directly involved with community members, and we created, with the help of them, we collected all the languages related terms, and with the help of artists at this with the help of couple of artists who are expert in creative cartography and also expert in drawing other artistic kind of works. And then we created this map, and this map actually I have given link in the chat box. You could see that. I can also share and show you. Okay, so this is the interactive creative work came out through that project. This is about the fisher, why fisher weather knowledge matters, directly from Uru Kuppam Beach from Chennai. And if you just scroll down, it actually provides a lot of information about how science would look at the storm differently, how fisher community, they would look at the storm differently. And yes, I mean, you can read all the details. It's a creative work. And this is how they created this creative cartography. Even the symbols, you look at those symbols, these are not the Western kind of compass we use. This is the symbol that fisher community, they don't have any kind of written or drawn this kind of symbol, but they use these kind of symbols when they address the directions. So this is, we actually asked them to narrate their experience, and then we documented and created this map. Um, then yes, so you can like slider, this is how like we look at during the storm. This is how we look at the map, because we just sit in our room or home somewhere, like we look at the storm. But they, for them it's kind of a direct experience. They go to the sea and they just look at the color of the water, and also they taste some of the water, like some parts of the kind of place where they can just particularly even taste the water to figure out like whether the storm is getting really worse or it's going to be cool down. And then So this is how, like, all the directions, as I mentioned, like they have their own language to, even like normal other people who live in those areas could not easily understand those terms, because those terms they specifically use. And this is how they're narrating how they figure out the storm. For example, they look at other ecological things, such as like some plants, some of the trees, like, or like the sand, how the sand flies, or how the plants move their head different direction. See, they look at all sorts of things available to them. Like they just look at everything and decide whether storm is going to get worse or it's going to be reduced, or like how long will take. So, and then we actually, what we did some sort of experiment. We compared, like we took particular timeline. For example, from 9 to 11, November 2021, during the storm, we also collected satellite imageries of those storm. At the same time, we also documented the experience of fisher community, and we created a counter mapping. Uh, for example, this is how each and every step, how they identify the storm and how they process it differently, and how they use terms for each and every element in the storm. And yes, but the final result, obviously, it's not really 100% matching. Satellite imagery result is slightly higher than the storm predicted by the fisher community, but not really a huge variation, just a few points variation. Yes, please do explore, and this is very interesting project. I'm going to stop here. And then these are directly I involved with a project that actually related to community. And other things I would like to share here is about digital storytelling, particularly for Indian context. So when I started my research, when I started getting interest in research is in 2014. I knew little bit some Photoshop, video editing software. That's how I end up doing digital humanities in the first place. So for some reason, I did my master dissertation on digital poetry. So that led me to continue my interest in digital storytelling, which I wanted to pursue for my PhD degree. But unfortunately, in 2014 and 15, we don't have really scholarship on Indian electronic literature, digital poetry, or anything. Not just except one or two articles, which they in which they talk about SMS novels or any sorts of media, social media influence. So I could not get really much resources, but I do notice some of the works that they don't specifically tagged as a digital storytelling, but they or digital literature, but they were available online. So that's how I collected a few works and started producing scholarship about it. But soon I realized the scholarship kind of, the works also not really kind of huge in number. There are various reasons for that. Obviously, lack of awareness, and many people, we are sure even till today, many people might have been creating it, but they might not tag it, use the tag called digital literature or digital poetry or maybe electronic literature, those kind of terms that scholarly community use. So that's how we were like, we have been digging out, like looking for more works. So there is this is Kuiper Media. So in which, I mean, the article is going to be out, so that's I'm going to reveal some sort of some sections from that, just sharing the whatever I was editing. So this work is by Dr. Kavita, soon going to be Dr. Kavita from IIT Indore. Her work is about uh, digital storytelling for marginalized community, particularly Indian transgender. So she created even archive, digital archive of Indian transgenders digital storytelling. So these digital storytellings are not like the sophisticated ones that we would come across in the Western countries. These are simple YouTube videos or maybe simple blog post, And she arguing that these works are also part of digital storytelling, and how these communities they use digital resources, although it's very simple kind of sometimes just narrating the story, or like using simple animations, or even like kind of poetry recitation using like lot of performance, and they release it on this YouTube to create awareness for their community. And she documented the metadata of all these works through her archive. And her project is about why we marginalized communities voices, or maybe digital how marginalized communities, why marginalized communities could not produce more digital storytelling. That was her argument. And she actually listed a lot of problems. At the same time, she proposed some solutions, like what could be done, what can be taking forward to to make more equitable to the marginalized community as well when it comes to digital storytelling. And the article is going to be out soon, I hope. So you can read the article. Maybe I can share it in our WhatsApp group. And so the reasons we actually, there are these reasons, like it's well-known reasons for lack of awareness, lack of digital literacy, and also lack of financial support. Because anything, if you are saying like I'm going to create a storytelling, you need to have some sort of digital presence, at the same time some sort of a digital skill set that you need to use to create works. And these all require some energy, time, labor, some financial help. So without these things one cannot create any work. So we we have been producing, like as part of at IT Indoor Publication House, we produced one anthology. The second anthology is going to be out, but we that is some sort of privileged, because IIT Indoor has some fund, so they are creating and collecting works and publishing works. But who will support, like for example, Indian transgenders work? Who will conduct a workshop on for them to provide a skill set for in terms of digital literacy? So these are some of the challenges she would be discussing in that paper. And then these are directly about the voices of community. The second topic I'm going to discuss here is the topic I'm going to discuss now is about the missing data and biased data sets. So I did not have any scholarship directly on this, but as uh, as a digital humanist, I'm teaching now Introduction to Digital Humanities and other relevant courses at IIT Dhanbad. So this has been very blushing to me, because I have been learning a lot about missing data set, biased data sets when it comes to particularly Indian context. Although the scholarships are mostly 99% available for in Western context. I mean, the reason why I'm excluding 1%, because I might be wrong, so I might missed some of the scholarship about the missing data. And we have been experimenting in the classrooms with the AI and also just a Google algorithm. So for example, for Google algorithm, if you just Google like gender related disparities, you could see if you just Google it boy and girl, just type boy or girl or woman or men, or maybe Indian men, Indian women. So you could see it, how what kind of sub phrases it would suggest. Those are mostly because something like biased, maybe stereotypical kind of phrases. The reason, because the data is trained in such a way. So the other one I'm going to share here is the recent experiment with ChatGPT and other AI models recording, asking names for Indian names. So the names it produced, like I think we tried this last year, and we also tried for this course, this year course. So last year also it showed us only the upper caste names, Indian names, and this year it showed also upper caste names. I think 10 names out of 10 names, it's 8 to 9 names actually upper caste names. So the reason, because the missing data, at the same time biased kind of a training. And this is something definitely pressing issue, that we actually need lot of scholarship to address these kind of issues, to ensure that their data should be included, so that like we would not get these kind of biased outcome. So this is also another reason I would like to point out directly with the Wikipedia experience. Actually, a couple of months before, one of our scholars and I, we were looking at some sort of indigenous cultural practice, some of the celebrations in the Wikipedia page. Then we both shocked to see that how that mainstream culture undermined or played a huge role, just marginalizing the voices or the cultural practices of indigenous community. The scholar is directly from indigenous community, and then he's working on indigenous community related, cultural related, other related issues. So it is his research actually. And then we were both shocked to see the kind of representation even in the Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is not only just a knowledge creation, but it also a community space. So that's we have to definitely address these kind of issues in the community space related knowledge creation. Another one, for example, electronic literature also kind of a not mainstream kind of, yes, even the scholarly activity or even creative activity in India. So we do not have any Wikipedia representation for us. So, but this has been handled by electronic literature organization in the Western country, the organization which I am also part of it. So they are doing a project, Wikipedia project. They're creating a pages for or elite artists and creators, producers, collaborators in the scholarly, even the scholars who work in elite, and they're creating Wikipedia pages for all sorts of representation for them in Wikipedia. And these are my direct experience. I'm hoping we can discuss further things. I to hear from your opinions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor. Uh, yes, we are open to have questions. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. I can read them out for you, or you can unmute and ask for yourself. Yes, please.
Just one more quick point note here. I shared a couple of links. One is about that map. The another one with about like I curated digital born creative works by my students, and one of the students actually created a creative work for the biased data sets. So please feel free to explore.
I have a question here. So you told me that us that digital humanities is simply if you're putting a YouTube video over the internet or a blog spot, a blog post about something, right? It's as simple as that. So in the scholarly terms, you call it uh, the blog post or the YouTube videos as the digital humanities. It's a part of that, right? And I can.
I'm sorry. I think it's slightly miscommunicated, I guess. So I didn't call it as a digital humanities project. It's a digital storytelling. So, but in Western countries, if you look at,
Mhm,
I can also put on other links like electronic literature in the Western countries.
mhm,
They use a lot of sophisticated software, but in India, we don't have such kind of facility.
mhm.
So, but we still produce works, but using some simple open access resources such as like YouTube. YouTube is something like you don't need much digital literacy skill. So you can just, if you know how to handle your mobile phone, you can create some works. So that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
I would also like to ask something around. You said there are some people who have created or curated a Wikipedia project and they're writing about artists on Wikipedia. Um, are you aware of any kind of experiences that they had on the platform? I mean, this is because over the course of last 6 years, myself, I have been through a lot of challenges when it comes to express the notability of anything that one tries to work on or create an article about on Wikipedia. Are you aware of such challenges that these people from those indigenous backgrounds or those tribal groups have faced on this side? I would really appreciate if you could give an idea. Thank you.
So sorry, like just quickly turn off my fan. It's making so much noise. I would like to rephrase your question just to make sure like I understand properly. So you're asking for kind of, how do we like what kind of solutions we could propose to overcome such kind of maybe such kind of misinterpreted or missing data for indigenous community on Wikipedia. Am I right?
Well, a bit of, but I was more interested in understanding about did they face any kind of challenges when writing about those artists and people, or anything from their culture and from their local knowledge. Did they face any kind of challenges on Wikipedia? And if you're aware of that.
Okay, I am not fully aware of it because it's not directly I involved in that work. So it was just a conversation happened between me and the scholar. But I thought it's a very valuable something I could share here because maybe that was also as a digital humanity. Sometimes I do think sometimes okay, well, let me work on Wikipedia, collect some sort of marginalized community voices to look at the representation, but I never really got the time or other opportunity to work in that. uh, I don't know directly about the kind of challenges because of the misrepresentation. Yeah, so sorry, no, I don't think so, I know.
Okay, this happens, but because you already touched on the fact that the mainstream media and the
Yes.
mainstream scholarship tries to misinterpret the knowledge related to those indigenous and those tribals, etc. And then Wikipedia, since it needs a reliable secondary source, it brings data from there. So
Mm.
this is in itself one of the challenges that makes part of systemic bias. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Thank you.
Sure. Please feel free to share your experience if any one of you also working on similar kind of things. I'm happy to listen and I would like to learn so much from you all.
If you can't unmute, you can put your questions in the chat box, please.
Hi, Shanmu. I'd like to ask something.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was thinking that this entire conversation that am I audible? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
Yes, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So I just had a little query. I mean, if we higher Patna this right? So, every day we come across like
So sorry, now you are not audible.
sorry. Am I not audible?
Yes,
Your
Aparna.
voice is breaking.
Could you please put your question in the chat box
Okay.
if that's not a problem for you?
Yeah, so, or I just try to pull in the spectrum every day in the news, especially now with the Palestinian freedom slits. We have like Mr. Bias action, often coming into a conflict with, or not conflict, but there being tensions with the caste-based traditional life. So, you think that solidarity is a big role to play in addressing systemic bias? I know it's the topic of electric literature, and in the but
I
like
think
systemic bias and its implications, I was just wondering if you intend to say that.
sorry, your voice was so breaking continuously. I
Uh,
couldn't get all the
it's
words.
it's okay. I have asked Aparna. Aparna, could you please put your question here in the chat box? The voice was lagging a lot. Thank you.
So meantime, there is another question. Maybe we can discuss. Not question. Okay. Online commuter people storytelling through role playing tabletop games by Monif, I think. Which is interesting. And if you do you have any link to that? Maybe is it like kind of Indian community or in general, like anyone can be part of this online community? I'm just curious about the context here. I'll also Google about it. But thank you so much for sharing it.
I think Aparna has been disconnected from the meeting or something.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Monif. I'm Googling it. Critical role on YouTube. Okay.
So here's the question, Professor.
Okay. Mm, yeah.
The question has been put in the chat box.
Yes, I'm reading it.
It's a
I
little
was
off the topic of electronic. Sorry, but I was thinking that I would love to hear your insights on that.
Yes, I'm reading the question. I was wondering about the role that political solidarities have to play in addressing systematic biases in institutions. But could you bit explain what you mean exactly here? I wish the chat box also has kind of voice note. You can quickly record it and send it instead of typing. Typing will takes time. Ideological differences in policy making. I think you mean that this is mainly you mean like for missing data set or misrepresenting data set, I guess. So yes, I think this is more about that policy making. When it comes to policy making, we have to ensure the data set, like different ideological data set make available online first. So I can share a couple of my experiences here. One is about like part of the missing data set we explored in the classroom, recording some of the forms that people have to fill during, like, let's say there is this rural, it's called 100 days work in the rural areas. It's something, the name I know in Tamil, but I forgot in Hindi or English version. We recently explored in the classroom. So this form actually did not have all the proper columns. For example, this form actually asking some of the details about the people who apply for that 100 days work job. Like it's kind of everyday kind of, yeah, labor related job. So it asks for name, and also it asks for name of the father name of the applicant. And it asks for and then something like, father name and gender, right? So gender, like, there is only two kinds of gender representation in the form, female or male, and there is a column you can fill it. But when it comes to father name or maybe husband's name, yeah, there are two slash kind of father's name slash husband's name. So even I am aware of who people apply for these kind of jobs in my village. I'm fully aware of many independent women we have in my village. They don't like rely on any men in their home or in the village. So like, why do always the form needs to be a kind of, you're still representing the stereotypical thing, like, when why a woman belongs to a man, why they have to sort of giving a affiliation that they have this father, they have this husband. So that kind of problematic in the data curation, because at the end of the all the forms you are filling, that also we explore in the classroom. For example, if you are going to a government medical medical institution, so you're getting some injection or some anything, they will be collecting data. Maybe it could be by the time they might have just filling the forms offline, but eventually they are going to update it online. So that's how government actually curates all the data set in terms of policy making to see. So if the forms are missing some of the voices or some of the important data for the communities, let's say maybe the gender is missing, maybe then only collecting partial data. So there is no space for including some sort of maybe literacy rate, including literacy rate, and including they belong to this sort of community, everything. Then how the policy would be always missing those communities as well eventually, because that's how accumulating data eventually coming out. So we have to ensure that whatever we are collecting to be trying to be inclusive. Columns, for example, this 100 days rural work, they didn't include column for literacy, for example, whether you completed which this thing. So that also actually mainly they meet because they assumed already whoever is going for this job, they like it's a labors physical related job, so they no need to collect what kind of literacy. But eventually we had an argument in the classroom, like some students argue that like why we don't need that, like some students argue we need that. So I stood with the students who said like we need that, because that's how you can get to see like who is applying, what kind of background they have, why are they applying to this kind of work. And the other another related, like for the missing data. So for example, now like as a part of classroom assignments, so I asked the students to create digital archives for the local voices. So the here in Jharkhand, in Dhanbad, local voices can be varied in terms of so many different categories. So it's a small classroom assignment project. They have to, I just gave them only the theme local voices. Now they are creating an archive for like essential workers of our institute. Because our institute website, it's always a top to bottom. It's never been bottom to top. So they don't have any representation on the website. So they are like mostly contract workers or maybe just daily wage related workers. So, but without them, we are also nothing. but institute never acknowledges so much about them. So that's where one group of students are creating project on voices of institute essential worker. Then couple of projects about voices of indigenous community, how this is mining area, how the mining area affects their daily livelihood. So this is also one of another ways to make sure, we have some representation on online recording the data set. So yeah, this is how we are trying to do something.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took so much time to explain everything.
Oh, thanks so much. Is it true, ma'am, that our data sets are bleated enough? That's the only question.
Oh, sorry. Still the voice is breaking.
Oh, no, okay, thank you. That's all I'm having.
Okay. Maybe you can just type it in the chat. Um,
We have one more question from Khadija here.
okay, could you share what could be some of the effective ways for literature students to utilize digital platforms to contribute to community narratives besides YouTube videos, blogs, like any projects or interesting initiative? Mm. If you have generally asked about digital public humanities, because that is the something like I'm, recommending to everyone to take part in digital public humanities, not just digital humanities, because digital public humanities is something directly contributing to the community. The project I was mentioning about Indian Trans and Digital Storytelling, the same scholar who created created a kind of Excel sheet which has all the medical related details. Like for example, state government, central government, they have this some free or some partially free kind of medical treatments for transgender community. But people do not really know where they can go, how much information they can get, like how much they have to pay for each and every treatment. So it's something like, unless you dig into or asking the same people in your community, it's a lot of effort. So the scholar Kavita, she created a ad table which provides all these kind of information both in Tamil and English. So she's also a literature scholar, but she connected that with her close reading of Ravadi's work. I forgot the title of the work, Transgender Ravadi's work. And part of that, she created this website as well. So she's contributing to the community uh, through digital public humanities. It's a very simple ad table Excel file. It looks Excel file, but it can be published online, and she used that. And you can also like, if you can create, for example, HTML, HSS, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can also create many interactive websites if you want to contribute any sorts of. I don't know what you mean by here, contribute to the community narratives. If you could have given an example, it would have been easier for me. But otherwise, you can use basic open access resources. But if you could able to buy some of the other resources, like WordPress, you can still go get. Mm, yeah, please let me know if you need more information. Aparna Singh says that it is all. Also, is it true? Yes, some people claim the data sets are complete in India as opposed to the West. Therefore, the question systematic bias does not apply to our situation. Thanks.
No, it's absolutely fine. We can understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Do we have more questions? Suyash has joined. No problem. Okay. I think we don't have any more questions. People who want to connect with Professor, could you please drop your mail here in the chat box?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. For others, I would like to inform that we also have a Telegram group where we put the information about the upcoming conversation hours, and there is an archive where you can find the all the conversation hours that have taken place so far. You can go to our website. I'm putting the link to the website here, and there you can find all the information about the conversation hour and the other initiatives that we run. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining, for taking out time. And we absolutely love to hear about your work and how you're contributing to the community positively. Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for the all the participants who joined. And we are looking forward to have you in the next conversation hour. Uh, Thank you so much. Okay then.
Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay.